Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dream Oracle for You. I am so excited to do this episode for you today, and it is my pleasure to introduce my co-host. I now have a co-host for the Dream Oracle for You podcast. And so, with that, I'm just going to ask Biljana or Billy to just introduce herself and tell us why she wanted to join this podcast.
Well, thank you for asking me to come on this awesome little adventure. Oh, I wouldn't say little adventure. I'd say it's a massive adventure. And yeah, I'm super excited to share my experiences and everything I know and love about life and specifically about dreams. So I suppose I've been fascinated with dreams most of my life, not really understanding what they were about, but I knew that was something more to them than just their subconscious from just the day before, us processing information. So I knew it was something more than that, that possibly messages or, you know, seeing events maybe in the future, or, things like that. So I was always fascinated by that. And then, when I joined a project, and it's a Love Down project, and we're both part of that. So when I saw your name pop up, and in through the chats and that sort of stuff, and I'm like, oh, she seems pretty cool, and I didn't have a face for the name, so it was kind of like, yeah, just seeing the name pop up, and I'm like, oh yeah, she's cool. She's got some good insights, and she's really enthusiastic about the project and what we're doing with that. And then I suppose after the interview I had with Narita on Rock the Ripple, and then you sent me a message about the after I mentioned about dreams, and then yeah, it's kind of gone from there. So
Yeah.
it's just kind of been, what's the word, organic, natural. It's just kind of flown. uh, yeah, it hasn't really been hard to like get in touch and communicate, what we're about and that sort of stuff. And yeah, it's been really great. So thank you.
No, thank you. And thank you for all your kind words you said about me as well. I'm glad that I'm noticed in the chat. That I'm definitely happy about, and just so happy that you've agreed to do this with me because I started this podcast a couple months ago, and in the beginning, I had a lot of energy and I was so excited. Like I'd wake up in the morning and I just had a dream. I'm like, oh, okay, this message now that I want to share with the world and that, I just want to get out there. And I would spend my morning very quickly writing down all the points that I wanted to talk about in the podcast. And then I'd go for a walk and then I would record my podcast on a walk because I had limited amount of time between, getting up in the morning and going to work. And this was a way for me to like fit it in as part of my day. And oh, I don't think I told you this. So this is good to share a line. A lot of the times as well, when I would be recording my podcast, I would actually be walking barefoot. So I would be in a park and walking barefoot in the grass. So it was just, connecting with nature and doing some grounding while sharing a message. It was just really great. But then I found like like the messages weren't coming through as easily, and I was running out of things to talk about because it's kind of hard to have a monologue, to talk just by yourself. So when you agreed to do this podcast with me, I'm like, I was over the moon. So excited to have you here and for us to just talk about what we love to talk about or we love to think about, which is dreams. And considering we dream every night, there's always going to be something to talk about.
Yeah, totally agree. And I suppose when you've got someone to talk to, then you can bounce ideas off. And like if you say something, it might spark something in me, like, oh, that's what it meant. And it unravels all these mysteries of our lives that you may not understand when you're on your own. And that's why we are supposed to connect with each other, either in person, energetically. Like the more we learn about ourselves, the more we can connect with each other in different ways. And I think, like the internet's been great because it's helped us connect with a variety of different people. But now we're getting to the point where you can understand that we can connect yeah, energetically and through our dreams as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All that resonates with me. Okay. What
Yeah.
what should be our first dream topic that we should talk about? Do you have anything that you've been pondering recently about dreams?
Well, like I mentioned to you yesterday, like about being able to, well, they've named it dream telepathy, and I didn't know what the name was when I was thinking about it. Like to be able to communicate with someone through your dreams. So I don't know if I'm still like investigating this, and I haven't done it myself. But does both people need to be asleep? One person asleep and the other can be awake, and yeah, I don't think it really matters because, we like when you're asleep, you are still awake
Yeah,
in a
no,
sense.
that's true. 'Cause and like, if you are visiting somebody in a dream, you're not physically with that person. You're doing it, like you say, kind of on an energetic level, or, it's um your higher self, if you want to call it that, some soul part of you. Because I think our soul, even though there's part of our soul in our body, I think there are parts of our soul kind of everywhere. And especially if you tie that into consciousness as a whole, we're all connected in some way, right? Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, I know when you asked me that question yesterday, I was definitely thinking at first I was like, oh man, we probably both have to be asleep at the same time in order to be in the same dream. But no, maybe it's just because that feeds into the consciousness, I guess, and we're able to tap into it. But then I was also thinking, and it's funny. Oh shoot, I didn't mute my phone. Apologies. There we go. Sorry. Um, I actually had a dream last night. I'm trying to remember exactly how it. I remember what my thoughts were after I had the dream, but I'm trying to remember what led up to the dream. Oh, now I remember. Um, so I had a dream that I was like looking like on a tablet, an iPhone or iPad or something, and I was at my fiance's mom's house, and I was looking at videos of my fiance when he was like a teenager or something like that. And I was just watching the videos, and my fiance wasn't there at the time. And then later he comes home in my dream, of course. And I was like, "Oh, I gotta show you these awesome videos of you when you were a kid or when you were a teenager." And I'm like looking, and I can't find them on the video, and it was just or on the tablet. And I woke up thinking, I'm like, "Okay, what was that all about? Why was I looking? Oh shoot, did you freeze again?" Okay, we might have some technical difficulties. We'll just pause here for a second and see what happens. This is gonna be a fun experience. Okay. Um, what did you hear of my dream description?
you were talking about not being able to find the videos and that of your fiance,
Okay.
and then it cut out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, perfect. Yeah, so I just had woken up from my dream this morning and I was like, well, why couldn't I find these videos? Like it really like just kind of was bugging me. I'm like, how can I be in the dream looking at videos in 1 second? And it's not like a change of scenery. I know you talked about some of your dreams where it was like a day and night, like definitely a change of scenery. It was like all just in the same flow. And then I like it's almost like I still had the iPad in my hand, but then the videos were gone. And it's not the first time that's happened to me before. I've had things where like my phone has like disappeared out of my hand as well. But I woke up and I was thinking about it and I just started thinking about time, the concept of time and the kind of theory or idea. I mean, we don't really know um that you have like parallel timelines. And the idea with parallel timelines is they're actually kind of all stacked on top of each other. And so then I was reflecting in this dream and I was like, you know, was that like two timelines that were stacked on top of each other, and one was where I had access to the videos, and the other one was where the videos didn't exist, and that's kind of what I was experiencing in my dream. So, yeah, I'm not really sure, but and I'm not even sure how I got onto talking to this on this topic because where we had a little technical difficulty there. But yeah, what comes to mind for you with that story?
Um, I don't know. I don't know. I suppose I've never really, well, I don't ever talk to people about their dreams. So like no one really shares their dreams. I don't know if it's because they don't recognize what they are.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't actually dream, so that they've still got a lot of blockages, I guess, that they uh yeah, that takes a bit of work to remember your dreams because you don't allow that process to happen. So I suppose I've never really interpreted for someone before.
Yeah, well, I mean, you didn't have to interpret it, just like if did anything
Yeah.
come up for you like as you were listening or just, you know, I don't know. It's okay if nothing did. That's fine, but
No,
just
not nothing really. Not nothing at the moment. So
yeah. Well, okay. We'll let that
yeah.
one marinate and we'll come back. But yeah, on the topic of people not really, I think that everybody does dream personally, because there are times where I feel like I definitely have dreamed, but I don't always remember them. I'm not sure if there's like maybe there's a type of food you eat or something that, you know, kind of blocks that sort of process, or maybe it's some spiritual interference, who knows? Like I know alcohol and, you know, recreational drugs and stuff can impact your memory of dreams. And they can also alter, whether you go into a deep sleep or whatnot. And so I feel like that impacts. For myself personally, I actually, uh, you know, weed is legal in Canada, so I actually used to indulge quite a bit over the years. And since this journey that I've been on, I was actually able to completely stop because I got so excited and interested in my dreams that I'm like, well, I want to remember everything. I want to like analyze all my dreams. And so I literally just kicked the bad habit so that I can enjoy this dream journey, but in reality or like in waking time.
Yeah, cool. Do you ever like apart from going to bed, do you like during the day when you've got time, like set up some space where you can, I don't know, people call it lucid dreaming or whatever you want to call it, like actually intentionally try and enter into that dream state?
During the day, I don't think I've tried lucid dreaming during the day. I have definitely lucid dream like as part of my sleep. It usually happens if you like if you're in a deep sleep and you get up, like say you had to go to the bathroom or something, and then you come back so you're like semi-alert but you're still like kind of tired, then that's usually the time when you're more likely to lucid dream. Um yeah, it's during the day it's hard because I know there's lucid dreaming, but then there's also just regular daydreaming. Would you consider daydreaming to be this lucid dream, or is daydreaming just letting your mind wander kind of thing?
I haven't really thought of it that way, but the way I think of it, like I did it yesterday, and I do it when I've got time. And me and my dog, we just relaxing. We've got some quiet time, and I just go in the lounge room, and then I might put some like just some chill music on. Uh, but it's mainly just to lie down, and it's not a meditation or anything like that. Just like recentering into with my heart and letting my body basically go heavy to a point that I'm that relaxed, and I can set the intention or not, but just kind of I even ask like, what is it that I need to know in this moment? And generally I get some weird and wacky things pop up, or my phone rings. So I got a really interesting like insight yesterday was I was in the middle of my meditation and I said, what is it that I need to know in this moment? And I kid you not, like my phone rang and it was my housemate rang in that moment. And I don't think anyone else would understand what that meant. But for me, it did. And then I hung up, put the phone down, went back, and then I asked that again, what is it that I need to know? And then someone walked past the house, and because my dog reacts to anyone that walks outside, he got up and was just about to bark, and I just told him like no. And he lay down and settled. So for me, I take that as I what I need to know now is I need to set some stronger boundaries for myself. That's
Hmm.
what I got from that. So
Yeah. No, that definitely resonates with me. I wasn't initially thinking boundaries. I mean, obviously it's your message and whatnot, but I was thinking more like being present, which I guess would be the brown boundaries, right? It's just being present in the moment and alert to what's going on around you and happening. So, oh,
yeah,
that's beautiful. And I would
yeah,
definitely say that I know you just called it a meditation, but earlier before that, you said when you're just taking quiet time to, relax and lay down and whatnot. I do think that is a form of meditation. There are many,
yeah,
like meditation for me, the definition would just be when you are alone with your thoughts, and you're able to just filter out all the noise and just kind of exist and be aware of what's going to come in.
yeah, exactly. And I suppose like in that instance, like that was a very quick answer that I got. Generally, it will be, I don't know how long, maybe half an hour, where I'm in that state where, lucid dreaming, where I'm getting all these messages, random thoughts popping up, and then for the rest of the day and even the next day, it helps me to process what I need to process.
Awesome.
So it's yeah, so it's instead of like kind of doing it while you're awake and going about your day, it's you giving yourself that time to process it without any distractions.
Yeah, no, it's
So you
beautiful.
you could say you're in a dreaming state, but it's not you're not sleeping as
Right.
such. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're still alert in a sense to what's going
Yeah.
on. Yeah, no,
Yeah. And
that's
it's
beautiful.
more intentional
Right.
because you're like setting time. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, that time is before I go to bed and when I first wake up. So it's like before I go to bed, it's actually how I fall asleep now. I just like allow that quiet space to be there and sometimes, especially since I'm going to sleep, sometimes kind of like you saying that what is it that I need to know, in this moment. For me, when I go to bed and I'm in that, I call it a meditative state. I basically set the intention like, okay, if there's anything I need to learn right now or anything I need to know, send it to me in a dream. And then I wake up in the morning and then I'm like, okay, that was a weird dream. And I just like lay there in bed, recalling everything I can from the dream and then start to be like, trying to figure out what it meant and asking questions and that sort of thing. So that's
Yeah.
where I fit it in for myself. It's part of my sleep and wake routine. And I connect it to
Yeah.
dreams. And it sounds like you just do a daytime version of that.
Yeah. And I think because I'm a bit more alert, like when I'm asleep, I feel like because there's other things going on that I'm still not aware of, I'm still trying to figure out. At least when I'm awake, um, I've, I suppose, had time to process how I'm feeling in my body and I can center myself a lot more,
Hmm. Hmm.
less interferences and that sort of thing. And yeah, I think I was going to say there was something you said. I think it might have been you because I haven't really spoken with anyone else about dreams lately, but it was like when you're asking, what is it I need to know? Like, show me, like, make it as plain as day, make
Hmm.
it so obvious. It's like, I'm gonna miss it. It might have been you. Couldn't quite remember our last conversation, or it was someone else that I was listening to. And that's what I did yesterday. I was like, show me like plain as day. Don't beat around the bush, make it really obvious. And that's when, I got the phone call and then the dog was about to bark. That was as obvious it could be. So, you
Yeah,
know, and that's just from intention. Like it's so powerful.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more. And I don't know. I mean, this is our dream podcast, but there's some spiritual, and actually the dream podcast does mention in its description about spiritual development. So we're allowed to talk about that. I know for, oh man, I forgot where I was going to say that now. Uh, oh man. Okay, it'll come back. To I feel weird if I quote Narita the whole time, but maybe it's a reason for her to listen to our episode. Um, yeah, she just like if she said something along the lines like if it's meant to come through, it'll come back around kind of thing. So I was actually listening to her one of her more recent ones with Biba. I forget her last name, but she has a
Logan.
podcast. Yeah, yeah, she has a podcast called the Biba Frequency or whatnot, and the two of them are just they're just amazing to listen to. It was great. And I know that Narita had actually mentioned dreams again in that particular episode, but I can't quite remember now what it was she had said.
I'll have to go and listen to that. I haven't had a chance to listen to that episode, but yeah, I've listened to Bieber before, and yeah, I really enjoy the information she presents. So it's quite good.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Oh, I
Yeah,
know I had something to say that was connecting dreams and spirituality, but okay. Well,
that's all right. Did you want to talk about the dream telepathy? I know it's something we
oh
don't
yeah.
really know about, but yeah, like I was doing a bit of reading yesterday,
Okay.
and all it is just setting an intention. Like they've done experiments and that sort of thing about um yeah, giving each other messages, or like one person will maybe have a photo or think of something, and then the other person has to try and not try, but just see if they can get information through that. So they've done experiments and that sort of thing. It's they were referring to it like as a psychic ability. Being
Mm.
able to pick up on energies and that sort of thing from somewhere else. And they did it more in like a waking state. One person was in the other room, looking at a picture, and the other person was in the other room. And I suppose you could do that with the dream telepathy. It'd be the same sort of process, possibly, because it doesn't matter if you're awake or asleep. It's the energetic
Right, you're just
aspect of it.
you're
Yeah,
tapping into that kind of conscious
yeah,
X aspect. Oh my goodness, I couldn't think of that word. Aspect of it. Yeah. No, are you saying you want to have an experiment and
yeah,
try to
yeah,
send
for sure.
it actually might work well with us actually because how it can happen is you could be like sending a message to me during your daytime, which at some point I go to sleep, which, that we're coming up on that tonight. I'll be going to sleep in what time is it? 3-ish hours or
Yeah,
so. So you could like send a message and I can see if it comes through, and then it will do the flip where I could send you a message and see if it comes through for you.
yeah. All right. Well, I'll do that. I won't tell you.
Okay. What should we just like pick a single like a symbol or and I don't mean symbol as in like a drawn character, but like like I'm not going to use this one, but I'm looking at you right now and there's this beautiful yellow flower behind you. So I'm like, it would be very easy to just send the yellow flower, but that would also be obvious. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. I suppose we'll pick um like an animal or a plant or something, just like one thing that I can focus on, and then see if you get the same thing. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
let's
that'd be
do that.
great. Yeah, let's do it.
We'll start somewhere.
Yeah, no, for sure. I like it. So now our podcast has turned into experimentation.
Yeah, and if anyone listening to this wants to have a go at it, find someone that you trust
Yeah.
and that you're comfortable with, and remember your dreams as well. And I suppose you could probably do it like if you're meditating as well. It can help with that when you're awake. It can help with receiving and sending energies and messages and that sort of thing. I have that with my housemate. We are always like, not on purpose, but we just have the exact same idea. Like even you and I have had conversations where with the same idea, and one of us just says it before the other, and you're like, oh, I was like thinking that. So
Yeah. Oh man, it was crazy that day because I literally have woken up and I was just like, I'm so excited for this dream podcast, but I'm like, I feel that there's so much more to talk about that doesn't actually fit into the dream podcast, perhaps. And I'm like, we need another podcast. And I'm like, oh, but what topic am I gonna do? And then later that evening, you just like blurted it out, and I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, so maybe we're all
stay
ready.
tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned for more chin wags with Biljana and I.
Yeah. Who knows, we might have a round table of people that come in and share their ideas and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started this podcast, that was like my dream is for it to just be a place, a community where people can share and talk about dreams. And it sounds like I've got one person. Community starts with just two people, right?
Yeah. That expression, like it's my dream to do have a podcast. Like, where's that come from? Is that saying that your dream to do something could be your reality? You could,
Ooh, that's deep, Billy. Um,
because
yeah.
why do we say that? Like, my dream is to, do that. But yeah, maybe it's been flipped on its head, but really your dream can be your reality, or your dreams are your reality. It's
So
dreams are not just for, day, just imagination. Like it is, can come to fruition.
yeah, that definitely resonates with me, but on a different level. And
Yeah.
I know that my ideas might not resonate with everybody, especially if they're not on the same wavelength that you and I are on. But I question reality all the time. I question our concept of time. You know, on Earth, in our physical dimension, we think of time in a linear fashion, past, present, future. But time is a construct of three dimensions. Once you go beyond, and I might get this wrong, time might still exist in the fourth dimension, but once you go at least beyond the fourth dimension, time time doesn't exist in a past, present, and future. It just is. And this brings me to something that I wonder about dreams because there's a couple aspects of it. The first aspect is three dimensions. We have this physical world that we're in, but other dimensions exist beyond the 3D. And there's mathematical, you can look up some physicists or whatever. There's math out there. Neil deGrasse Tyson has said that there's mathematical proof for other dimensions. I think it's up to like 12, possibly 13. The dimensions can exist. But the other dimensions are not physical. They're metaphysical. And so when you think about that, and I actually had a conversation recently with a friend who I've just introduced to my podcast or to our podcast now. Um, and he kind of like got it immediately when I explained this idea of dimensions to him. because I'm like, okay, so above the fourth dimension, there's no time. There just is now. And that's connected to, the consciousness. And then he was like, well, he's like, is that how you time travel? Because everything is just kind of existing kind of simultaneously. I feel like I've jumped around a little bit, so I'm going to try to come back and recenter. How does this all have to do with dreams? I wonder sometimes if dreams are not us accessing other dimensions and possibly timelines, because if you're accessing higher dimensions and there is no linear time, there just always is now. And if we have the if the idea of parallel timelines exists, that means they exist in other dimensions. And I don't know. It sometimes when I think about time, it does my head in a little bit because we in a 3D world can't think about it. But it just, yeah, I know I've said a lot there, but can you pull something out of it to respond to?
No, no, yeah, I maybe haven't thought of it in that way, but it's definitely something I'm leaning towards, like thinking about time. I've always had an issue with time. It bothers me having a schedule. I like just kind of living by the moment. Like obviously in this physical reality, you got to be responsible and if you need to turn up for schedules and appointments and stuff. But as soon as there's like a time where I have to do something, it just drives me crazy. Well, it's almost like it's a restriction of your potential to be you, to express your full potential. So yeah, that's my idea, and that's why working for yourself gives you your own time back, and I yeah, I would encourage anyone to work for themselves. It's definitely a change in mindset, but then yeah, you can explore making your own time, your own schedule to then be able to have time to have freedom, I guess, to for your own mind. So I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. And if you're working for yourself, then you're obviously going to be doing something that you really enjoy. And I'm going to I I attribute it to my grandfather, but I know he didn't come up with this quote, but it has been something that has pushed me my whole entire life, like in the back of my head. I know I'm not going to be fully happy until I find exactly what that is. And the quote is, find something you love to do, get somebody to pay you to do it, and you'll never work a day in your life. And I like to add a little bit more to that now in the current mindset that I'm in. Whatever it is that you're doing to love or that you love to do that you find and you want somebody to pay you to do it, it should be some kind of service or benefit to humanity because if we all do that, then the world's going to change for the better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, totally agree with that. I have heard that quote before. Um, yeah, so, but even if I hadn't, like, it still resonates for sure. Yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So working for yourself, yeah. I'm feeling that at the moment. I have a great job. It is work from home, which is that was the first step for me because so I did a PhD in chemistry and through that I did sacrifice a lot of time with family, I would say. Um I'm the first person in my family to hold a PhD and to have gone as far as I've gone in school. And with that, it came a lot of sacrifices, both financially and um, um, time. I don't live in the province where my family lives, and there'd be times when you couldn't always connect with them because you had to study and so on, whatnot. And then doing my PhD in chemistry, organic chemistry, meant a lot of long days standing on my feet in the lab. Some days I'd be there for 12 hours. And by the end of my PhD, I knew didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to be standing on my feet for 12 hours a day. I first went into research because I wanted to change the world. I wanted to do, I was working with molecules that were potential anti-cancer drugs and had all the hopes and dreams that, you'd hit the big one and cure cancer. Like, that's everybody's dream. Those dreams were a little bit crushed during my PhD. So yeah, so it's been a driving force for me to have balance because the one thing I realized during my PhD was you work long hours, there are going to be things that are sacrificed in your personal life. And so I really wanted to have a work from home job because then I felt like I, could have a little bit more time for responsibilities at home. So I currently work as a patent examiner. It's pays well. So I've upped on the financial side of things, but um it's still not as satisfying. And I love my job. I do enjoy it, but I wonder sometimes if it's going to be for me long term. Don't tell my employer that. But anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. I guess it's to tie it back to doing what you love to do. Um, and I'm still looking to find that. Which is
Yeah.
why I'm excited for this podcast. Not that the podcast is going to pay the bills, but it is something that I love and enjoy, even though this is still very much new. I feel it in here that it's something big.
Oh yeah. Dream big. Dream big.
Dream
And
big.
that's the thing. Like we've been made to think that we have to think about money first, and then like if it then it's a good job and you enjoy it, cool. But it's got to be flipped the other way around that we need to enjoy something, like dive ourselves into this. And this is why we dived into this podcast because it's something we're passionate about. And then the benefits will come after, but we haven't sought out the benefits first. We are doing what we love
Right.
and we're passionate about. So things will come after because
Yeah.
that's just
Who knows?
how it
Maybe we'll
is.
write a book together, you know?
Who knows? I'm open for anything.
Yeah, me
So,
too.
and yeah, like I'm expecting to get more insights through my dreams about this, and I'll probably put the intention out there as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So
The what intention are you going to put out?
I don't know yet.
Oh, okay.
Probably like about the podcast, like where should
Mm,
we need to go to the most make the most impact for ourselves and for others listening, I
mm.
guess.
Yeah, yeah, I like it. And if we have any listeners, if you have any ideas, we're all open.
Yes, definitely. Leave a comment as well. Yeah.
Please leave a comment. Um, and the email address, by the way, I guess I mean, we're not closing up the podcast, but we're just gonna have this in the middle. Um, the email address is very simple. It's dreamoracle4u@gmail.com. And that's the number four and the letter U. Very simple.
Yeah, and you offer like to interpret other people's dreams as well, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, I'm definitely open
Yeah.
to that. I've not had many people respond, some friends, and now you.
Yeah, cool. That would be good. And because when you're first learning about yourself and about your dreams, like it would be helpful to have someone interpret like, why am I dreaming about this? Just have some insight.
Mm,
And it's coming from someone that's with the experience like yourself, and you're not having to go watch lots of videos, read books, and all this sort of stuff where it's I find that like when people have done experiments or all that sort of stuff, it's too much in the mind. It's
mm,
got to come from more the heart. So when you're listening to you, um, or someone talk about it in an authentic way, it's easier to interpret and it's also easier to get insights for yourself.
Yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah,
no, I'm definitely happy to be that bridge, I guess it would be considered.
yeah. You can
And
teach me too.
yeah, no, I'll definitely teach you. I'll teach you all I know. Uh to quote Ben here, man, we've brought in all of the big name podcasters out there today in our realm. Um oh man, it comes in and then it goes. It's so annoying. Okay. I gotta work on this podcast thing. Um
I can just like envisage Ben just going, rolling his eyes and just,
oh man, no, not the shame. No, just kidding. Oh
or
man.
some sort of smart ass
This
remark.
Yeah, oh, definitely a smart ass remark, but that's not where I was going with that. What did you say that triggered me to think about Ben? You said something made me tr think about Ben.
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh man. Was
Because
it?
I'm not thinking like this is how organic this is all just coming out. I'm not thinking about what I'm saying. It's just flowing. So once
Yeah.
it's said, it's kind of like, yeah, that's it. That's what's gonna be.
Yeah. That was really weird. Your voice just went really weird for a second. Uh,
Oh,
so I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if you want to repeat that because I'm not sure how that's going to sound on the recording.
I might just sound like Darth Vader or something.
No. Oh man, that would have been really creepy.
Now, all I said was because you're asking me what I said, and I just said I don't really remember what I say. Like with whenever I'm talking to you, I don't really remember because it's just naturally flowing. The conversations and it's just flowing. I'm not trying to think about what I need to say. It's just I'm responding to what you say and what you ask and just letting it just flow. So I couldn't remember what I said.
Yeah, it's funny. It did it again at that exact moment. It's so weird. But I did hear it this time. Yeah, and I'm finding that too. Like things are just flowing out, but at the same time, it's like they're flowing, and maybe things are flowing too fast. Maybe that's how I'm like so excited to like say this profound thing I have to say, and it's just like, whoop, it's gone. It's, you know what? I'm gonna quote Biba or in the podcast earlier I was listening to. She had said something. It's like things are like floating by. It's like thoughts are like floating by, and you're just like kind of getting them out. But if you don't get it out before it moves by, it just goes. So it was a very interesting visual she painted there. You know, the thoughts just floating by, and
Yeah,
you gotta grab it, and if you wait too long, it's gone.
that's it. That's it. But it'll pop up again.
If it's meant to.
Yeah.
Which is also true of dreams, like recurring dreams is it's something I've talked a little bit about in some of the earlier introductory episodes. Uh, have you ever had a recurring dream?
Yes, I don't anymore, but mine were, when was it? It was probably, and this is when I wasn't really writing my dreams down, but I really remember the dream because it was a lot of fear in the
Hmm.
dream. So it was about the current job that I was doing at the time, and it was very relevant to what I was doing. Like I used to be a rock climbing guide,
Oh, cool.
in the area that I that I live. And it was always about like the rope snapping or, like something dramatic happening. No one ever died or were injured. It was more so like just the fear around it. Like I was just obviously anxious in that job. So since leaving that job and then I've like really dealt with a lot of that stuff, I haven't had that dream at all or any sort of dream like that. But it was a reoccurring dream
Hmm.
and it was pretty similar most of the time. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No, it's interesting. I wonder if it was reoccurring because you had to deal with the fear or the anxiety about it.
yeah,
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 probably.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely got a little nudge as well when I said that. So there you go. A little bit of
Yeah,
dream interpretation on the spot for you.
yeah. What
'Cause
about yourself?
yeah, I still have I haven't had any come up recently, but in the past year, there's definitely been times where I've dreamt about cats, and they're usually it's really sad. They're usually neglected cats, or they're cats that I have forgotten about, that I've forgotten to feed, or I've forgotten that were even in my house, or something along those lines. So it wasn't like exactly the same exact dream over and over. It was more the same symbols that were showing up in the dream, which happened to be the cats. And you can, oh man, I just remembered. I actually got a dream book recently, and I totally meant to have it like here while we're doing the podcast, but I guess that's for another day. But yeah, so it would involve cats, and I think like if you were to look up cats in a dream book or online, it kind of depends on, you know, whether the cat was injured, or, the kind of the state of the cat or whatever. Because cats are usually represent some sort of feminine energy. Um, but I only know like bits and pieces, and I still haven't actually of I don't think I've actually gone and figured out what that was about. But the dream hasn't come back, so that makes me think that whatever the lesson was, I probably have addressed it in some other way without really consciously realizing it. So, but yeah, it's definitely worth reflecting on. There's some dreams that I've like have actually recorded. I rarely record my dreams now, and maybe I should start recording them more for, reflection many months down the road. But I'll like go back and look at it. I'm like, oh, that's what that meant now. And you just look at it in different eyes. When you receive a message, sometimes when you receive information, it's more like just planting a seed, and it needs to like, germinate. It needs to do its thing and then grow. And, whenever you plant a flower, you plant a seed, you water it, you watch it, and, takes a while before the flower actually comes out. But before the flower blossoms, not that it's not an extravagant plant or anything like that, but you don't have that reflection of ooh, ah, until the flower just kind of blooms. And so maybe it's something similar when we're getting messages and stuff through dreams, or just normal intuitive things that come in, that in that moment when you receive the message, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're supposed to reflect and go ooh ah over the message you received. It might have to sit a little while until some time passes, and then you come back and reflect on it, and you're like, ooh ah, that's what that's about. Ah, there you go.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah.
There's a little analogy for you.
Yeah, just when you were saying that, I was thinking simmering, like it was just simmering away,
Yeah.
just I just think about like all the things I can't remember specific, but just the things that I was taught when I was younger. Like it's not until later in life that you realize like what your parents meant or what the like your teachers meant. You just like, oh, or like why your grandparents were so annoying, like they're nagging about something. You're like, why do they care about that? And then it's not until later in life that you realize what they were talking about,
Uh,
regardless of you if you agree or disagree. Like you're just like, now I get where they're coming
oh,
from.
100%. And it's rather annoying actually, because, especially I think back to like teenage years, and, you think in your teenage years you have it all figured out, and you you feel like you know everything, you have it all figured out. And then your parents or relatives are telling you something, and they're like, we've been in your shoes. We know what it's like. And you're like, no, you don't. You don't know anything. You just have this kind of reaction to it. And then you hit like, I don't know, late 20s or 30s, and you reflect back and you're like, damn it, they were right. Or, I get what they were talking about now. And I was so naive, or so, I don't, naive isn't the right word, but you get. you literally reached the point that they were when they were giving you that information, but you weren't in a place to hear the information. And I can just imagine there's going to be a point in my future where I'll be having a similar conversation. I feel like I know what you're going through, or I know, I know what it's like. And yeah, anyway, the beauty of growth and development, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. Just picking up the nuggets and just holding on to them till you're ready.
Yeah, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool, cool. Hmm.
Is there anything else you'd like to share, or anything that's coming to mind like the last few days?
Hmm. I mean, I spoke about the time thing. That's been a real big that one's been big for me is acts like our dreams accessing other dimensions. And yeah, I don't know. Do you need time to germinate on that one? And we come back in a different
Yeah,
or
yeah. I think that would be a good topic next time, because after our chat last week about when you were just giving some insight into my dream, just the different timelines, and it's made me think of it in a different way, and I was
Mm,
like, yeah, okay. So just yeah, germinating, letting it
yeah.
simmer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like it. But do seeds simmer? Or are we oh, are we oh, there was a word in my Toastmasters club earlier. It's like conflabulation or something. I don't think that's actually it, but conflating. Are we conflating analogies?
But no,
Like
I
germinating a
don't even know that
seed
one.
and sizzling. Oh, conflate. My understanding of conflate, and I could be totally pulling this out of thin air, but conflating is when you take two ideas and you mush them together.
Oh
So
yeah,
are we conflating
yes,
two analogies?
yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I think as soon as a thought comes in my head, I just say it
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and see if
Well,
it resonates.
yeah, well, I mean, I get the sizzling part, but I'm just like, when I hear the word sizzling, I'm just thinking of cooking, and I'm like, well, we're not cooking the seed, are we?
No, more so like simmering hot water. I just got
Ah,
the simmering, like, because it's just simmering. It's not bubbling over. It's
okay.
just simmering, like just chilling out. It's not.
Okay.
Yeah,
This might be just a difference in, Australian terminology and Canadian terminology.
yeah.
Perhaps, uh, like chinwag. I only first heard of that term through, I think it was actually Narita's podcast, and didn't know. I mean, obviously you can kind of infer what it means, but never heard of it until Narita's podcast. And it's just like, that's like my new favorite word, a chinwag. It totally
or
makes
or
sense.
flapping the gums.
Yeah, but see, chinwag just sounds so much nicer than where gums are flapping, because then you get like, this image of somebody not having any teeth and their mouth is just going,
I'm
sorry.
going so far from our original thing.
Yeah,
It was
I mean,
good.
we keep coming back a little bit. Yeah. Well,
That's all
this
part of it.
it's all part of it, it's part of yeah, just it just is.
Yes. It's
Anyway.
how conversation should just roll. Like it's when you have a conversation with anyone, it's not like, all right, so this question, all right, answer it, and the next question. It's not an interview. It's just a flowing conversation of ideas and insights, and that's it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's all connected to getting to know each other, getting to know ourselves, developing on a spiritual level, and eventually or periodically reflecting on our dreams and how we move forward. There you go. I brought the dreams
Yeah,
back. And,
yeah, yeah, definitely.
it could also just be metaphorical dreams too, like our dream is to have this podcast. So they're just by existing in this space together, we are fulfilling our dream, and the thematic of or the theme of the podcast.
exactly. Yep, I totally agree with that. Yeah.
There we go. We just saved ourselves. Oh, this has been great.
Yeah.
Maybe I mean, I do like the flow, but if we do want to do episodes where we're actually a little bit more on track in terms of dreams, I mean, you kind of started by talking about the dream telepathy. Maybe there's just like we pick a topic and then we both do our own little reflection or um, research if you need to do a little bit of reading or whatever. So then we have a little bit more guidance and a little bit more oomph in our
Yeah. No, yeah,
discussion.
that's a good idea. Yeah. Yeah. And I suppose we could go with what we feel drawn to. So
Hmm.
if you like, I'm feeling drawn to the dream telepathy, so that's
Yep.
why I kind of have been looking into it. So
Yep.
whatever you're drawn to, or you feel like you want to get insights for yourself, we're more than happy to talk about it. So it doesn't have to be, what's in fashion, what's the trend. It just whatever we would like to discuss. I think that's the best way to go about it. And yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. So we have dream telepathy. For me, it's definitely dimensions is something I'm going to be pondering pondering this
yeah,
week. And um I think I mean it's we want this to be as organic as possible. But I think having some interpretations woven in I don't know if we should weave it into each episode or we just like designate, you know, a particular episode that will be focused more on interpretations or something.
yep.
How
I'm
do you
open
feel
to
with
that.
that? Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
cool. We'll just go for it. Um,
yeah. And if
are
anyone listening, if they have any ideas as well, or what they would like to hear about, like, yeah, get in touch. And yeah, because then it gives us an idea of what other people are looking for to learn, to hear about, and and sometimes people need someone else to maybe have a go to to kind of lead the way to give them some confidence to do it for themselves. So yeah, maybe we can be the leading the way.
yeah, I'm happy to be the guide or the shepherd, if you will, just to throw out interesting analogy.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm totally down. Anybody listening, you know where to find us. And if you're listening to the to this episode, all you have to do is click the description and you'll get all the details that you need to contact us. I guess this is probably all we're going to talk about, at least dream-wise today.
yeah.
We could probably call the episode close. We've gone over an hour now. So look at that full
Oh wow.
live
Yeah.
episode, full length episode. Much better than my little 15-minute sound bites, but
Yeah. But no, this is good. Like for the first one, well, it's really the second for us. The first one, just yeah,
it was
technical issues.
a lot of technical
But
issues. It was really an experiment.
yeah, and it was a good open up segment, I suppose, for you and I,
Yeah.
that on a private level, just to kind of gauge where we're both at, and it kind of a bit of an icebreaker. So
Yeah.
then the first one is not like us spilling our guts for in all our dreams and that sort of thing. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
think it's been good. Yeah,
No,
feel a lot more relaxed.
I feel a lot more relaxed and I think as Narita again would say, things will just happen when it's meant to happen, just kind of fall into place and um as I tried not to get frustrated with the technical difficulties we had because I was like trying to take it as a learning opportunity and I was ready to like piece that thing together. Was ready, but it would have taken about 10 hours to piece that one episode together. I'm like, we could record 5 episodes in the time it'll take me to put together one. So let's just clean
Yeah,
slate. And like you said, it was an icebreaker. So Anyway, that's all background information that our folks online don't necessarily need to hear. So I'm gonna close out our meeting and stop recording, but we can just do a little wind down afterwards. So thank you all to all of our listeners. I hope you enjoyed our conversation today. It's been fabulous having Billy on this podcast, and I'm so excited that she will be my co-host from here on out. We will have a lot of great things to talk about, and we are looking forward to your input. So thank you once again to everyone at home, and thank you, Billy, for just joining me on this fun adventure, being a part of it. And I'm really tempted to actually put the video recording up just so that people can see the beautiful background that you have of the flower where you are the flower. It's amazing. Anyway, do you have
Yeah.
anything you would like to say as we close out?
I'd just like to say thank you very much for having me on again. And I'm really excited for what this will bring. I feel like there's a lot more aliveness in my life, being able to just discuss, how I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, all these sorts of things. When you haven't got people around you, like you just got to figure out another way to express it. So I'm so thankful to have this opportunity. So, and I hope other people can do the same. Yeah, and find their person.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Billy. And thank you all and everyone. Please just keep on dreaming.